Yes, sir, we are good to go.
Are we on?
Yes, sir, we are live now.
Welcome, friends. This is Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, Governor ACP India Chapter. Greetings from India Chapter to all members of the India Chapter as well as other chapters, those who are listening to us. So, this is our sixth episode of Soul Curry, in which we are going to discuss a very important issue of gender bias in medicine. And expert is Dr. Vidya Sundaresan, who shall be telling us about her own experiences as well as many other things we shall be asking him about the experiences of her in the field and various issues we shall be discussing. In the previous episodes, you already enjoyed many spiritual issues as well as burnout, as well as resilience. And the last issue was when we discussed the sexual health among the doctors. So today is also a similarly important issue. And before I move forward, I introduce our guest speaker. I will request Dr. Ajay Tiwari to say a few words and then we will be moving forward.
Thank
Ajay.
you. Thank you, Governor Sir, for giving me this opportunity to coordinate this program at the national level. And we had a wonderful start on 15th of August, that is the Independence Day of India. And the first program was with Professor Anuj Maheshwari, who has been the first well-being champion from India. And we relived his journey from the well-being champion to the governor of American College of Physicians India chapter. And thereafter, we had a interesting session on 29th of August with Dr. Marion Mull McCreary, Governor, American College of Physicians, Carolina chapter. And we talked about physician burnout. The third program was very interesting. We had ingredients of soul curry. And the fourth program was a live program followed by a yoga session with Governor Elisa Choi. And the fifth program was another interesting program about sexual health. And today we are going to discuss a very pertinent issue, that is the gender bias in medicine. And for that, we have one more expert, Professor Anubha Srivastav, and because we thought that it is our governor decided that we should have someone from the women's side to discuss something which is very pertinent to us. So I would request the event management to kindly put in the PowerPoint of Dr. Anubha also, and I will request the governor to introduce her.
I take really pleasure to introduce Dr. Anubha Srivastava, although Professor Anubha Srivastava doesn't need any introduction, at least in India. She is very famous clinician, famous physician here, who has already received 4 gold medals, 22 certificates of the honor in MBBS and ACP Wellness Award in 2021. She has been recipient of the SS Rastogi Memorial Award and ICN Award in 2021. Dr. Padmakar Tripathi Young Scientist Award in UPDA Uttar Pradesh Diabetes Association 2018. Investigator of the Year Award in 2018 in Indian Society of Hypertension at VPCon 2018. ACP Wellbeing Champion she has been on 2022 to 23. Women in Medicine Appreciation Award by ACP 2021. Best Publication Award at UPDA. I think there is a long list of awards. I think there will not be any point of wasting time in reading each and every award. Hope Anuva, you won't mind if I don't try read your every award. So you are have earned so much of the award, and this is also very much inspiring for all of us to get this much of the award and work so hard. And I know that you are a very hard worker, and uh, I have got the experience of that also when I worked on many projects and many subjects on you. So with this small introduction, this is a really very small introduction of Professor Anupa Srivastav. I shall be looking forward to introduce our today's speaker, guest speaker, Dr. Vidya Sundaresan. Although I had this opportunity and this privilege to introduce her multiple times, because if I wish to describe her in a one single sentence, she is the best friend of the India chapter, who has always helped India chapter whenever it was needing her or support, or in any way guidance was required from her. And whenever, in fact, I should tell, whenever we were in trouble for any program, for any related issue, and she is the savior of India chapter. She brings us somewhere at the respectable and comfortable position, so that we get through with all the difficulties. And she has also been with us at Lucknow when we invited her, and physically we had her talk and oration. RX event would like to put up her introduction, so that formal introduction I must tell. She is presently the governor of this Illinois chapter of United States. She is ACP governor of the Illinois South, and presently she is working as a professor of the clinical medicine department of the internal medicine and division of infectious diseases at SIU School of Medicine, Springfield. And she has also received a lot of honors and awards. Uh, some of them are the American Medical Women's Association Aspire Award, and she has been receiving the Chairman's Resiliency Award, Department of the Internal Medicine. She has been the nomination for Faculty with Global Impact, Best Subspecialist, Best Research. Obviously, she is the global impact. I think she can get one more award, the faculty having the maximum on the India impact. So sometimes if we can have some opportunity, we shall definitely, we would like to honor her physically in India if she gets some time to join our annual conference. With these words, I will request Dr. Vidya Sundaresan to come over with your presentation, and after that, Anubha will start the interrogation and question answer session. Over to Dr. Vidya.
Are you able to see my slides?
Not yet.
No, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Now it
Give me 1 second. There we go. First of all, Dr. Maheshwari, thank you for, the kind introduction and also all the opportunities. I cannot tell you how nice I feel every time I get asked by you to come and present for India. This is my home, a place that gave me my identity. What I know today was all from India. And so, it just gives me immense pleasure and immense satisfaction, fulfillment to come back and share what I have been able to develop and further here in my second home in America. So thank you very much for all the opportunities. And I want to take a minute actually to also praise Dr. Maheshwari for all that he has done. And I just wanted to let you know that recently we had a Board of Governors meeting for ACP, the fall Board of Governors meeting. And the India chapter meeting and the initiatives that are currently ongoing in India are just so phenomenal, and I'm so proud every time I hear all that is being done in India. So keep up the excellent work, and we are happy. I'm happy to be part of anything that you're doing. It's just an honor for me to do that. So with those words, I'll jump right into the topic today. Today, we are going to discuss parts of a huge topic, gender inequities in medicine. And we're going to just touch upon practitioners, their gender inequities in itself. If you Google and look at gender bias, this can be in so in research, what are the types of patients we're recruiting, how we are generating data for research. So I'm not going to be going over that part. I'm just going to be talking about this more from a standpoint of women in medicine and some of the issues that have come up and have been discussed on not only local fronts, regional fronts, but national fronts. And just wanted to, throw these topics out for discussion later on for our fireside chat as well. I don't have any disclosures. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. But I'll start out with our overview. I'm going to talk about the AAMC statement, which is really one of the bigger bodies of American academics, medical communities. There, we really medical colleges in academic settings, particularly, they put out a statement for gender equity. So I will briefly go over that. Talk about some statistics that were reported on their website. Talk about mentorship, talk about intersectionality. What exactly is intersectionality? Implicit bias, he for she and our allies, and then ACP resources that are available. So for AAMC's, the statement that they put out, they said gender equity is a key factor that is necessary for us to achieve academic excellence, our excellence in our careers. So, we have to create these environments which are mindful about equitable opportunities, not just for people of different gender, but everything in every way possible. We want to include people. We want to have a diverse environment. We want to make sure that it is equitable. When we say equitable, it's not the same as equal. Equitable just means that you're giving people with lesser opportunities exactly what they want to succeed. Equal is you're giving the same opportunities to everybody, but some people may already be ahead of the game. So giving them the same opportunity or to someone who's not had the same opportunities earlier on or where they are starting doesn't level the playing field. So equitable is definitely what we want rather than just equal. And then they really talked about 4 areas to focus action on. 5 typically, if you look at leadership and compensation are clubbed together, so that's why they kind of talk about it as 4. But workforce, leadership, compensation, I put leadership separately too, because it's important in terms of who is leading, what kind of opportunities are available for growth in their career. For even in leadership, it's a growth process, research as well as recognition. So I'll start with workforce. That in medical schools earlier there were not many women. Now it's just the opposite. Here in our medical school alone, 65% are women in the medical schools. So that part has changed. But we still notice that in the workforce, relatively STEM, this is not just medicine, relatively in STEM, the number of faculty members that were women were lower. So there was an opportunity to make that better. In the workforce, however, when we look at our departmental statistics, nurses or the MAs, which are medical assistants and office support staff, with that taken into account, the workforce in women was much higher. But in academics, if you're looking at the number of faculty members in the department that were women were lower as compared to men. Then also in terms of specialties, primary care, you'll see that, we were talking earlier before we started the meeting today in terms of, OBGYN, it's predominantly women. For the numbers that you're seeing are American, so it may not be reflective of what is happening in India, but OBGYN, pediatrics, these are more where you see women, primary care, women, orthopedic surgery, cardiology, those subspecialties, the number of women that you see are much, much lesser. So definitely there's room for improvement or work to be done there as well. All right, for leadership, just wanted to talk about trajectory for anybody that is in academics, promotion. is much, much slower for women as compared to men. And also, if you look at ranks, assistant professors, associate professors, professors, for associate professors, assistant to associate, you'll see a fair amount of women getting promoted there. But from associate to professor, you don't see that many women. And the number of deans and department chairs that they looked at for women, not many. So there's definitely, disparity there with the higher level of leadership, higher levels when you're going. The number of women getting promoted or in those positions was definitely much less as compared to men. And also, if you add that component of any minority woman, if there is any ethnic minority, which I think we are looking at those in India as well, those minority groups are underrepresented as well in leadership, particularly in the higher positions. The mean time for promotions here in my institution, and I'm quoting a lot of what happens in my institution, which is pretty much standard where you see this happening in the US as well. So from an assistant to associate, it can take anywhere from 5 to 7 years. And then from associate to professor, it can take anywhere from 5 to 14 years for promotions. And then there was, when we were, the PNT, the Promotions and Tenure Committee was meeting, hardly any women were applying. Hardly any women were sponsored. Hardly any women's names were put forward for promotions. This was taken over by one of my mentors, Dr. Sue Hingle, and started looking at the who's eligible, who's not. So now for our departments, we have that as a part of our biannual meetings that we have with our faculty members. Who's eligible? What have you done? What do you need for promotions? And there is at least a lot of representation from women applicants as well that are being looked at for promotion. And then also, there was an accelerated pathway available for women to become professors. Hardly anybody was using that. When I was applying, actually, I didn't even think to apply. One of my mentors, I heard that one of my other colleagues who got promoted to associate after me was applying. So my chair told me, go ahead and put your application. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm ready. I really don't feel I'm ready. So when I talked to one of my other mentors, she looked at my resume and she says, how dare you send this to me? It's, you still have a few years. Don't apply right now. But then when I told her that this is the position and they're looking at accelerated promotions for women, and then she looked at it, she wrote me a beautiful letter, and I was able to get my promotion to professor through the accelerated pathway in 5 years. So definitely, I think there are, women helping women, mentorship, sponsorship. It's very, very important. My sponsors have been both men and women. And I'll talk a little bit about what the difference between mentorship and sponsorship is also later. All right. Next, this is compensation. I have a few slides. The starting salary, here you have to negotiate your contract when you are starting out with a position. And the starting salary that's offered to women is much less even in the same specialty as compared to men. They're really making a big, it's now, they try to equalize it as much as possible. Our institution is extremely cognitive about that. So it doesn't matter who it is. You're starting at the same place as a newcomer in a certain department or in a certain division. Then the salary is compensated based on the MGMA, which is our national scale for salary payments. And you're offered, anywhere over 92nd percentile on that. So, institutions really have to be cognitive. We have to be very mindful about this. Negotiation, they really encourage women to negotiate as well. I do a lot of recruitment now in my leadership role. And when I'm recruiting, I have almost all the young women negotiate their salaries in such a nice way I'm actually very proud when they do that. I try to help out as much as possible, but on the other side, you have to be realistic about that as well. So I'm able to offer that little mentorship at that time too, when the negotiation process is going on. But definitely, we are offered less pay, less negotiated pay as well, and other forms of compensation in terms of bonuses, resources. This was what has been traditionally reported. And this was a study where I'm just going to go to the figures. They're much easier to assimilate. Look at the figures where you are seeing the bars on the left side. That's the only places where women had a slight advantage. All the bars are on the right side. So I think the salary, starting salary and 10-year salary that was offered and compared all through all areas of medicine was higher for men, and earning potential as well. I'll kind of give you my personal story as well here. I never look at my paycheck. I still don't. And I always think that I'm the secondary earner. It's an implicit bias I have. So I was like, why should I be negotiating? Why should I be working so hard? But why should I be asking for these things? But I am working hard. I'm working just as much, so I deserve the salary that anybody else would get for the amount of work that you put in. So the earning potential, the paid salary, definitely there is a difference, and institutions are now getting more mindful about this and cognitive about this. So those differences are closing, those gaps are closing as well, but we still have a long way to go. All right. In research specifically, editorial boards, less women representation, intrinsic cognitive biases, which are contributing to, like productivity for women scholars. We do have that. There's not enough protected time. We probably don't have as much, but we don't negotiate as much. So those kind of things as well contribute to less productivity, less research productivity of women scholars. And then funding. NIH funding or any federal funding, state funding, look at that. Usually with women peers, men compared to them, men definitely do better. And I just quickly wanted to touch upon this. I won't be talking too much about this, but when we talk about gender discrimination and research in healthcare access, this was what I found from women, for women particularly in India as well. From the extremes of ages, living further away from the hospital. So there was extensive gender discrimination, which was noted in even recruitment for studies and the access to care and other things pertaining to medicine from a patient perspective. All these were also definitely, noticeable in their studies, and there's data available for that. And that affects the quality of what we do. For instance, cardiovascular studies, we really did not have much data in terms of what happens because we didn't recruit enough women in that particular study. So there now a lot of focus in terms of equity, even in recruitment from a patient standpoint, from a research standpoint, to make sure that our studies really reflect what we are doing in terms of even administering the patient care. Last would be the recognition in terms of invited speakers or through honors, awards. AAMC realized that at least in the academic settings, the awards were also being given less to women in comparison to men. So in all those fields, there's a difference. A few terms I just want to introduce. So, we have these conversation starters when we are talking later. Mentorship and sponsorship, what is the difference? Mentor is a person who you have a close professional relation with. They're working in alliance. They're working together with you, helping you grow personally and professionally. Sponsor is a person who would publicly announce that, this is where I need to put this person at this particular time. For instance, my sponsor, mentor, Dr. Sue Hingle, I'm going to use her name quite a bit. She, when I was applying to, I didn't apply actually, when the governor position for Illinois State was open, Illinois South was open, She called me one day and said, would you consider being the governor? I said, no, absolutely not. I cannot do that. I don't have any qualifications to do that. She put my name in the hat. She just put it there. So, you need these people, you need sponsors, you need mentors. And apart from just role modeling or coaching or advising, you need sponsors, you need mentors. Having one mentor alone is not enough. You find somebody whose leadership skill is excellent. They can be your leadership mentor. Somebody who's excellent in the work you do. Let's say for me in infectious diseases, I want to collaborate with somebody who's doing virology. I don't know virology as well as I do bacteriology. So, I reach out to somebody who's doing that to mentor me. So, professionally, what you need, those kind of things as well. You can have multiple mentors in different spheres, and with them you're meeting more closely, you're meeting more often, and absorbing from them, learning from them. With sponsors, they're kind of helping you be where you need to be at the right time, the right place. I know this person. She will be a great person to have on your committee. That would be your sponsor. So I wanted to show that difference. I'm sure you've all seen this cartoon. This is an old one, but I really kind of identify with this because we all have this. We all are kind of juggling so many activities. We all do it. But for some reason, I think women take it really seriously with all these hurdles, and you're still running the race. The playing field, the ground is not plain here. So you're at a different level starting out too. So I just put it in there because we want to be aware, we want to be mindful about these things. Intersectionality is a concept which I think also pertains more so when we're talking about gender. Gender is one part. For me, my intersectionality and where I practice today, I am a woman. I am of Indian origin. I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm a Hindu. So, all these things are, in my identities, multiple social identities that I have. And all those play into, come into play or come into consideration when you are looked at as an individual. So I just wanted to throw that concept of intersectionality as well, where gender is one part, but there are so many things that we have still to work on to make sure that we have workforces, we have our work environment is non-toxic, allows everybody to grow and be the best that they can be. And the last concept I really want to introduce here is implicit bias. UCLA has these free videos. I put the link there. And implicit bias is really that form of bias that occurs automatically, unintentionally. Somebody is wearing a certain type of dress, automatically you're thinking, you're forming these judgments in your head. Somebody says a certain, thing that, you automatically start to have these judgments and decisions, and based on, what might have happened or what you perceive, which may not be true. So, these are really operational. And when we talk about gender bias, implicit bias is something that we need to keep in mind as well. Not just because of, earlier we were talking, though a woman can't do that, this kind of a job has to be done by a man. So why? Who says that? So I think those kind of molds we really need to break and get out of. And there was, just to kind of summarize, this is an ongoing thing. Implicit gender bias on a broader set of mechanisms, gender drives gender inequities. And lastly, he for she, this is actually a movement with activism, a lot of netizens, a lot of good citizens. He for she is really an open invitation for men and all people of all genders to stand together in solidarity. Men who are my mentors, who have supported me, who have sponsored me, who have mentored me in every way possible, they are solid he for she advocates. So we need allies. We need to function together. We have to recognize the inequities, we have to fix them, but we have to function together. Okay, so that would definitely be something that we need to keep in mind and develop all the time. ACP had a position paper, particularly with this gender equity in physician compensation and career advancement. It's a very nice paper. If you have time to go over this is free of cost. Definitely look at it. This was published in 2018. With Dr. Sue Hingle, Dr. Darlene Moyer, who's the VP for ACP, Dr. Sue Bornstein, the Board of Regents chair last year, Dr. Renee Butkus. This was a very, very nicely written paper. So definitely look into what inequities, particularly with physician compensation, occurred and the advocacy that has been done around that. And then Women in Medicine pages for ACP has a lot of good information, not only for equity, but, also how to engage women. How can we grow, as women in medicine? So all that information is also available. All right, I will stop here and take any, I look forward to a good conversation.
Thank you, ma'am. It was excellent talk on gender equity, I should say, touching almost all the topics. Sir, shall I go ahead?
Yes, Dr. Anubha, please start.
We do very well agree with there has been quite a change in the women workforce, though the similar change may not be seen in the same quantum as in the US, the data which you showed, but definitely over the last 2 to 3 decades, as you might have also seen, there has been an increase in the number of graduates and postgraduates in the field of medicine, the women force, and definitely more than 65% in the US is an excellent measure where the gender bias is getting reduced. My questions are which you have slightly touched upon it. The first question I would just like to ask you, you have your medical journey in India, which you proudly mentioned to us, and in the US. You very well talked about your societal pressures. How has been your journey as a woman, as an intensivist, and now at the leadership level? I would request, like the audiences would definitely, though you have given bits during your conversation, but a bit of it be helpful to understand more.
You are muted.
Ma'am, you are
Dr. Vidya.
muted.
Dr. Vidya, you are muted.
Thank you, really. Thank you for that loaded question, but I will try my best to. I will be vulnerable when I'm talking about this, so if I'm too vulnerable, but I really do want to highlight some of my experiences. Growing up, you have the same opportunities. You want to choose what you want to. When you're in India, your parents give you good opportunities, or you try to create those. When you become a doctor, you've kind of created. You've come to a certain level in your life. In the US, when I moved here, there were a few things. As a resident, the institution that we were in was very, very friendly, very friendly to international medical graduates, very friendly to women. But a lot of patients will not accept right away as a woman doctor. Many a times, they would ask for a male doctor when I was training, certain things, but our people that were training were very, very supportive all along. Particularly, I'll give you an example. Recently, we had a lady who had a diabetic foot infection, osteomyelitis. I'm an infectious diseases doctor, so I'm going to give you all ID examples. My team, my colleague is Dr. A. She wears a hijab. She's from the Middle East. She speaks with an accent. She is a brilliant doctor. Her resident is Dr. K from Pakistan, who is not wearing a hijab, but, looks different from the patient. Okay, then my other fellow who's there is also a female who is from India, and she looks different from the patient. And then my student also happened to be of Indian origin. So this was the team that went to see the patient. The patient refused to see anybody that's not white. Refused to see female, although she's a female herself. So, immediately, there was a lot of discomfort with the situation. My colleague tried to reason with the patient. Patient would not agree. And the hospital supportive as well. So we don't want to abandon patients in those situations. We wrote what we needed to write in the chart, did what we needed to do to take care of the patient, and very respectfully bowed out. There was another team of infectious diseases doctors. We said, the patient doesn't feel comfortable, let them handle care. As soon as I heard about it, we said, I'm sorry, we are going to bow out. We did. We reported it to the hospital, and the hospital actually took this very seriously and told the patient that if this is how you're going to be treating our doctors, you're not welcome to come back to this hospital. So, they kind of put their foot down to explain to the patient. Of course, the decision is hers. We're not going to refuse medical care to anyone, but it has to be told, and there have to be some consequences there. So yes, the hospital was supportive of us. The leadership was supportive of us. And although we didn't abandon the patient, we definitely addressed it. So there are all these situations that come up, and I will talk to you about the intersectionality aspect. Another patient of mine, the political situation in the US was kind of during election, things like that. So people are very we don't talk politics at all when we are seeing patients, or we're just doing our job and being as professional as possible. So here I am taking care of a patient, talking to her, explaining to her what the plan is going to be. And I was by myself that day. I had gone after a clinic to see this patient, and she's like, you're a good doctor, but I'm so sorry you have to go home. So this was the time when, there was a lot of hate against immigration. And, so I was like, go home? What do you mean? So, go back to your country. So I was like, I'm as much a part of Illinois as you are. I've lived here 25 years. So, explaining that to the patient sometimes, that can also be, and they're kind. It's not that they probably don't understand. So when you explain your perspective, yes, that definitely helps as well. So a lot of experiences like this on the teaching front. But I have been very lucky to have people in leadership, people in in my life who have really valued me for who I am. So I would definitely say that I didn't have to go through a lot of the things that people usually do. I'll tell you, life is hard. When I was doing my fellowship, I had the 5 biggest stressors. I moved from one city to another. My husband was also doing his fellowship. He moved to a different city. I was a new mother. I had a toddler. So you're moving, you're starting a new job, you have a toddler, okay, and then you're also getting ready to take board exams, which is really, really, hard. And then my husband's moved to a different city. I'm like a single mother. So 2 years, these are not easy things to experience. And most students, most residents, most people experience those things. So I think those are some of the things we need to be mindful about and support. So I do my best. My mentor was a taskmaster in infectious diseases. She, in fact, is a pioneer, one of the leading infectious diseases specialists in the world. She, took me under her wings. When I was a young doctor, she would, deadlines. You have to write a paper, you have to finish this, publication has to be done. This is what it is. You have to do labs, you have to do everything. And no corners were cut. Very, very strict. And of course I achieved a lot with my mentors, discipline and all the things she wanted me to learn. However, as a leader myself now, my take is very different. The millennials are also the students that come in, they value work life balance, and I feel like, what, they don't need to sacrifice their time with their young child. It's okay, it's fine. So, I am a little bit softer. I allow work life integration. If you are not on call, if you are not in clinic, it's fine. You can take a call from home. I don't insist that you need to be chained to your desk 9 to 5. Okay. You're working on weekends. You're working, after hours anyways. So those are the things that we incorporate right now in the leadership roles. But it's not easy. It comes with a lot of resistance. So those things we have to overcome. Sorry, long answer to your question.
No, that's fine. Dr. Vidya, just one thing came in my mind when I was just listening you. So sorry, Anuba, I'm interrupting you. Most of the time, we think that women cannot be spared of their household duties. Uh, Not only in India, but I think in other countries also, maybe in US also. The slide you have shown, which is telling us that in US also the situation is not so much different than India. So that may be the reason because of what people think that we should pay little less to the females because they may not be giving that much output as a male person can give because they may be involved in their household duties, they may be involved with their kids and all that. So is this in the mindset of the people? What do you think? Why do a person can ever think that a one person is being given for the same job less amount and another person is given more? How can it be justified ever? I can't understand it.
You are kind. You're seeing that point of view. But honestly, you know what? Women do their best. They give 200% despite all the things they're also doing at home. So I think that needs to be recognized. And you are a he for she ally. You recognize it. So we need more people like that in leadership who recognize that, these are the hurdles, physiologically too, this is a big discussion in the US in terms of, reproductive rights for doctors. There are many surgeons who cannot have children when they're doing their surgical, specialties. They're long. By the time they graduate, they're 30, 31, and they can't have families, so they're freezing their eggs. And the reproductive health part is also like such a big thing now in terms of what can we do to optimize and support people. You don't need to do that. So what can we do to support? So that discussion is ongoing as well. So I think definitely first step is understanding and seeing what's going on, what is prevalent, and the next step would be what can we do about it. Those discussions need to be started. Those discussions need to be ongoing. It's not just one time. It has to be consistent.
Yeah.
Anubha.
So this gender disparity, the compensation part. I was searching the data. They showed at least 25% wages differences is there in our country also. So definitely recognition is very essential. And as ma'am said, we need more of he for she. So, and it has been there that the male counterparts have always been a great support system for the women force to come up and obviously join the force. My next question would be, ma'am, are the males immune to this gender bias? When we
No.
are talking on this important topic, what is your opinion regarding this?
I often say that, we are women in medicine. We understand that we have a long way to go in terms of, making things equitable for us. There are things that, have been worked on now, but we still have a long way. But at the same time, don't use this to your advantage or as a weapon to, kind of have this reverse inequities for your male, colleagues or things like that. We shouldn't use this to our advantage. So definitely, we need to be very mindful about how we are. It all boils down to having a solidarity in the workplace, solidarity in our perceptions as professionals, and even for personal growth. So I think it's just important to be mindful in this regard.
Talking about some of the subspecialties or specialties, like you mentioned, the pediatrics and the obstetric gynae, having more of the female colleagues rather than in the medicine. I think though this is changing, as you are saying, we need to be more empathetic and obviously supportive. Both the genders should be supportive to one another when we want to contribute in a positive way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody brings different things to the table. The more diverse our workforce is, the better we are. And now I'll give you an example. And this is really our teams, when we have teams in the hospital, we have nurse practitioners, we have pharmacists, we have nurses, we have the doctor, we have nutrition folks, we have our students. All of these people are rounding, right? When we are taking care of a patient, there's a case manager who's helping discharge from the patient, from the hospital. So all these teams are working together. And everybody does their part. If the resident doesn't write the note, doesn't come do the vitals and everything in the morning, you won't have that. If the MA doesn't check the blood sugar, you won't have that data. If the phlebotomist doesn't draw the blood, you won't have that data. If the room is not cleaned, that's a big problem in itself, right? So everybody's work is important. We have to recognize that, but at the same time, we are leading this team for patients. It's all patient centered, and we are actually around that patients, making this patient centric. And as the physician leaders, we are leading this team. But do not discount the team, because if they don't do what they're doing, the team is not going to function. You need every part. All four wheels have to spin for the chariot to move forward.
Coming back on the gender bias, we assume it is the women who's on the brunt of this biasing. And one of the data, I was just reading the India Today's article, where they have mentioned UN Development Program in 2023 mentioned that around more than 99% of the women, whether it is the professional front or the personal front, they are facing gender biasing. Among any of the political, educational, economic, or physical integrity, how much you are educated, how much you are capable, you may feel at some point of time. My question to you is, what, in your opinion, when the women receiving this bias is both from men and women, do we have a support system from women also? As you were mentioning that your mentors has been a great help to you in your journey, but how important is it?
Absolutely. Women can sometimes be women's worst enemies. So, it's important, absolutely important. And I'm going to repeat the example we were talking about prior to our conversation today. There was a nurse administrator in our systems, and we had a disagreement. The nurse administrator and I had a disagreement on something. And right after that, I actually expressed to her, I said, do you know what you just said and how it makes me feel? Because every time anything I said was used against me at that point. So I was like, do you know how it feels when you say that to me? So the immediate response was, I see this immigrant woman in front of me who is earning so much and who has gotten a lot of advantages in life. That was her response to me. It's a woman. So, women can sometimes be women's worst enemies. So it was an eye opener for me. And then, there are all these memes that we see. Even WHO posted one of these in terms of lift as you climb, lift as you climb. Don't knock the ladder off. You climbed, don't knock the ladder off. Lift somebody else up who needs it. So I think those are the things that we really need to build in our communities, in our mindsets, to make sure that we are able to bring up everybody as a whole, and that's how our workplaces and our communities prosper.
Definitely,
And
ma'am.
I just wanted
Very
to,
important.
while we were talking in terms of some biases, I just wanted to also say in terms of harassment and stereotypes, those are some of the things that typically women face a lot more. So education, we have we all have to do this annual anti-harassment training. Even if you're not engaged in it, you're looking and checking those boxes and doing those questions. I think in a way, people know, hey, sending an inappropriate joke on WhatsApp or saying something inappropriate, people feel really uncomfortable, and that's wrong. So those kind of things, I think, are the more we do, the more we engage in it, more conversations we have. I think those are important, but at the same time, it has to be in a productive way. We don't want those conversations to pull us down. We want those to be productive, and in a mature way, and these conversations need to be had.
More people to join the ladder and a better support system rather than to pull someone down. And we are definitely seeing men and women alike, I should say, mentoring, sponsoring. And I think this is the reason where we are talking it in open about this gender discrimination also. And the things are changing a bit. We have discussed, ma'am, during your presentation, some barriers that the intersexuality slides was perfect to describe about the barriers that women face during their tenureship. So let's come down. We have talked about the mentorship which you've mentioned, the sponsorship you've talked about, the support system also. So how more we can have or what measures we can take where these barriers can be overcome, and definitely in the workplace.
Yeah, I really think it boils down to building a good community. You have to have a good community, and like we all say, it takes a village to raise children. We all are going through so many things in our life, right? So we can't do it alone. So I think it's important to understand that community of support that you have, and lean on it. So with trust and with respect, that's really what we want in these communities. So having this multi-level mentorship, I think, is really nice. Having a support system where exactly, that's where these women in medicine groups, we have a lot of those where we are just kind of networking, getting to know people, and that helps build that community. Advocacy is very, very, very important. Continued advocacy for things you identify advocate for it, and don't just keep quiet. You've seen this go wrong. It's just equally wrong to keep quiet. So yeah, don't be complicit. Say it. So advocate for it. Advocate for people that don't have what you have. You are in a position of privilege, so advocate for people who are able to do that, use that privilege well. So definitely those are some of the things that we can continue to do for ourselves, as we progress. Life is not getting easier now. Um, my mentors would tell me, oh, I would see so many patients, and I find myself saying the same thing to my learners. I say, oh, well, you just these 10 patients, you're taking so much time. I would see 40, 50. And it's well, my learners will tell me, Dr. Sundaresan, you don't have to do all these EHR and click this and click that. To put one order, I have to put 50 clicks, and to write one note. There's so many things I need to do. My challenges are different from what you had, so you can't compare it. So I just feel that life is getting harder with so many things that we have, so many other things we need to take care of. We want to make sure well-being is incorporated. We have three well-being champions here on the call today, and you understand how important it is to make sure that we have that time to really feel fulfilled as on a personal front and professional front as well. So definitely building a community, mentorship is very, very important. And with this intersectionality part, my mentors always tell me, you don't have to do everything yourself. Delegate, find people that will be willing to do that, and the delegation that you give to someone can actually be very, very useful for them professionally. So as leaders, delegate, help them. Don't just give the job and forget about it. Help them with doing the work. So I think those kind of things we can definitely help each other with. Childcare, it becomes a big issue here. So there is a parent support group now also. Dual physician families here in the US, we don't have any support. My husband and I are both doctors, and God only knows how we raised our children, because during COVID, I didn't have any family support. I have friends here, but zero family support. They were all in India or in other places here. So, I still, think of the impact of what we went through. 1 or 2 years, my children just survived on Maggie, to the instant noodles, So these are the things, these are challenges we all face. But then, your support system, there are friends who are kind enough to come and drop food off in our door. So those support systems are now being built in our institution. We have near peer mentors for how to raise your children well in this kind of a situation. Any help that's needed, you ask your friend, can I carpool? Those kind of things. And cleaning the house, doing things, okay, take help. So these are some of the things my mentors would tell me. You don't have to sit and vacuum your house every day. Take some help. So those kind of things, I think, are definitely helpful. Come when people talk to you and the community is there to support you. So I just brought that point up because of the hurdles that you were talking earlier about.
We have been having a great discussion on this gender biasing, touching on the personal aspect, on the professional front. Something I think with the Indian government passing out the bill, the legislatory bill with that there will be a 33% of women reservation in the parliament also. This has been a great move. How do you see, especially in the medical field, the women leadership in future? You are holding one of the apex posts at your area, and whatever I'm able to understand, you are a great mentor. And I think people love you. I know I haven't met anyone, but hearing you, your thoughts, your vision, it's great leadership qualities to be at. So how, if we talk about the future aspect, globally also, Indian point of view also, how you see and what future you envision?
Such a great question. Such a great question. And thank you for your kind words. No, I have a long way to go. And then, I think introspection is very important. To constantly introspect. And the moment we become complacent, growth stops. And growth should never stop. So work hard, be humble, all the time. I think that's one thing that we need to keep in mind, and be respectful to everybody around you. Well, with respect to women leadership, I think in the top positions, we don't see very many leaders. And, that kind of a mindset has to come from the top down, not bottom up. How you're changing, it has you have to model things top down. Our Pradhan Mantri ji is doing such a wonderful job. He is, a game changer for what is happening in India is a game changer worldwide. So I think, definitely that those effects will percolate to every section of that society. Starting with our president now, and we're seeing that, we're actually seeing it. So, when you see somebody like that in a leadership role, there are others who wonder, why can't I do that? And that's what we want. We want to inspire and ignite the young forces to want that. And when they want it, they will get it. So I think the top-down approach is what I'm thinking is the best way to really engage the leadership at the top level to say, hey, we are not seeing women on the table. We need to have more women on the stage. That's one. And then the second thing also is, amplification. Like, I'll give you an example. In the Obama times, they were discussing, they had a few women in the cabinet there, and they would bring up an idea. Somebody would bring up an idea. A male colleague will say the same thing. And, immediately after that, they'll be like, oh, what a fantastic idea, to the male person. They'll not even acknowledge the woman. So about, 5 or 6 women in that group got together and they said, we're going to amplify what you say. So one woman says something, and right after that, another woman around the table will say, hey, that was an excellent idea, to the woman. And they start amplifying each other, and that's how they got noticed. And this became actually a process. Even now, I see this in committees where, even meetings like Zoom meetings, I know I'm mindful about it, so I recognize it. So I'm shamelessly going to name Dr. Choi. She's phenomenal at, pulling people up. She's amazing. This was one of the committee meetings, and I am a minority. The 4 or 5 women were there, and I'm a minority. I speak with an accent. I'm a minority there. So I'm kind of typing my comments in the chat. It was a pertinent comment, and I was typing it in the chat. Nobody paid attention. They were just, taking the comments of the most important male, leader there. But nothing I was saying, nothing was even, nobody even acknowledged it. Right after that, Dr. Choi, excellent comment, Dr. Sundareshan. I really agree with this. And then she elaborated on that with her experience. So this is amplification. And I tell you, what she did may not be a big thing for her, but how it made me feel was amazing. So I think these are some of the things we need to do to lift as you climb, a top-down approach, have buy-in from the topmost leadership, that diversity, equity, these are very, very important things for us. So once we have that buy-in, I think we will have a better work environment. We'll have a better community. Everything is going to improve.
I would like to ask Dr. Anup sir also. He's there and he is at the apex position at many more societies, and he's a great visionary and is an excellent mentor and sponsorship. I should say, yes, most of the qualities which we were talking about. Sir, what is your vision? Because you have been so proactive regarding the women participation in all the ACP activities which have been there. And I've been lucky enough to be associated with quite a few. So your your vision regarding the women in the leadership role in the future.
I believe that whenever you talk the well-being, it cannot be complete without women, because well-being is lying with the women. We had a lot of things in our society which are starting with the women. In fact, in Indian society, women has always been taken with a very important place. And we had our prime minister women, we had our president women, we had our finance minister women. For last, it's not only for 1 year or 2 years, for last 5, 6 years, we are having finance minister, the same women. Many people may be saying in the joke that women can't do this business kind of the things, women can't do this money matters and all that. But whole of the India's money matters are being taken care by a women, and India is progressing under her leadership or under her work, whatever she is doing. Obviously, the leadership always remains of the head of the state, that may be the prime minister, but her work is tremendous, and she is doing the wonderful work, and we can always, and in the future always, I believe that she will be given the example to the future generation. And I also tried to make the same thing in our ACP India chapter, when I did our best effort to bring the future leadership in the women. And in next leadership after me, there will be the women leadership in India chapter 2. So this is what you can see in my, not only it is my vision, I am whatever I am thinking, I am also trying to make it realized on the uh, reality. In the front, you can see that the things are being done, and we did a lot of programs for the women, especially the biggest program on the women health in India started by the ACP India Chapter. No, not any other organization did that. That IRIS project, that women health throughout the year program, and apart from that, many things. I think Anuba can give more details of that. We can also say here also that we also try to make the women on the front on the research field also. What the research projects we have started to the ACP India chapter, out of those, 2 projects were led by the women only. Our subclinical hypothyroidism and anemia project, both the projects were led by the women. So definitely the ACP India chapter is giving a lot of importance to women. India is also giving a lot of importance to women. And biggest example is the 33% reservation. What you can see in our parliaments and our assemblies where the women are getting. Maybe this will change the scenario in future. I hope that men may not become the gender bias once the women will become the 33% in the. So this is just a joke, not a. I don't think it is to happen. But sometime I was just discussing with Dr. Anuba that this thing could be seen somewhere where men are in the minority and they are facing the gender bias, like in our ops gynae departments, many a times we have seen that 1 or 2 men were there or single man is there, and many a time he feels himself singled out in departmental affairs. So this thing can happen everywhere, because this is the kind of the human traits or human tendency where you can see this. But we have to overcome these human traits and human tendency to become the really a productive human being for the society. Because until unless the men and women will not come together for any society, no society will progress in the real sense. What I believe.
We have been having a great session so far. Uh, uh, Getting to the last leg of the talks. Vidya ma'am, I'll just ask you to convey a few last minute a liner for all our audiences on the gender bias.
You know, thank you, first of all, for, giving me this opportunity. And it's been great to kind of talk about some of my experiences with everybody. I would say be mindful. Being mindful, it all starts from there. Once we know about these things, that they exist, and you're mindful about it, then you can do something about it. Definitely have a good community. You have to have a good community of support, which is not just women, men too, he for she's. So you have to have allies, have a good community of support. Make sure when you get that support, you pay it forward. It's just as important. So lift as you climb. Definitely those are my biggest pearls that I try to follow. These were something I noticed in my mentors, I see in my mentors, and I try to do as much as I can about that.
Everyone who has joined in, whether it's either of the gender, would be definitely be benefiting from it. There will always be a he for a she, and obviously she for she also is needed. And so we can use these female workforce with foremost manner, and have a better work environment, and up to their maximum limit, with a very good cordial relationship. With this, I would request Dr. Ajay Tiwari sir to give a vote of thanks. And I think, thank you, ma'am, for joining in, and thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to be part of this excellent talk.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya, and our Governor, Professor Anuj Maheshwari, and Dr. Anubha for a wonderful moderation of the talk. And once I talk about women, I always see my wife. So they are always multitasking and playing different roles at different places. So we have been respecting women from very long time in the Hindu tradition. She is considered Devi, and she has multiple hands. She is doing multiple duties at the same time. So nothing can be better than that. And I think they're the best leaders, they're the best workers, and I have got a lot of. I feel that we all should respect them, and we should acknowledge them also in our spheres of life. So this is one thing I picked up from your talk, which was very interesting. That was first is lead by example, and make the ladder for others to climb up. So that is the most important thing, and you should have a lot of mentors and sponsors. So those things are very important, and women should be more friendly with women. I think that is also a very important message, because this is what we see, that once they reach to bigger positions, they do not promote the other women. So these things are very important. So we should also be mindful, and we should also be mindful of our struggles, because they will guide us. So as a woman, I think it would have been a very big journey moving from your graduation from a medical college to all the way to US. So these things are very important. So it was a very interesting session, and I think Anush sir, we were enjoying it a lot, because we were listening to all those things, and we really appreciated the way Professor Anubha moderated this session, brought out the pertinent issues, and they were very well illustrated by you. I will thank this audience who has been listening to us. There is a lot of social media buzz about this program, and I'm getting photographs and very good reviews from people. They are posting it on social media. So thank you, everyone. And at the end, I'll thank RX Events also for hosting this program in a wonderful way. So thank you, everyone. A very good night and very good morning to all those people who are on the other parts of the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.